All right, so we're going to be doing a 2v8 killer tier list because this is a lot smaller than the actual killer tier list. We'll do that at some point in the future, but there's just a lot that goes into that. So let's hop right into this. Up first, we have Billy. Billy, I believe, is easily the best killer for 2v8. He's got his insta down back. He never had it in the first iteration, then they gave it back to him. He can cross the map very quickly. He can pressure multiple gens very quickly. He's even more oppressive than Wraith. Like, yeah, he can't kick gens as fast as Wraith, but, you know, what's going to push survivors away more? Wraith uncloaking by a generator or Billy's chainsaw sound approaching the generator, right? So he can start with chase instantly on multiple survivors, provide you multiple aura reads, causing survivors to scatter and split apart very quickly. He can catch a survivor off just because he's so fast, especially when he's in overdrive, so he can get a cross map insta-down and then make survivors miss skill checks, blow up gens and things like that. You know, his enhanced mobility is great in 1v4, but I think it's even more impactful in 1v8 or 2v8, I should say, because if this game is like so fast paced, if you really let up for even a second, you don't have a high mobility killer, gens are going to get absolutely crushed. So easily S tier, easily the best in my opinion. And yeah, up next we have Blight. Blight's a tough one. I want to put him in S and I want to put him in A. So the reason why I don't fully want to put him in S is because, you know, he's got his cooldowns, like his rush tokens still have to recharge, you know. They do recharge faster. It's basically a base kit shredded notes. But at the same time, like, yes, he can pressure multiple gens fast, but he has to hit people twice. And he can provide multiple aura reads very quickly and cover ground very fast. His main strength is patrolling gens. But, you know, there's a lot of really safe loops in this game. A lot of god loops. You know, they can keep repairing pallets on repeat. So I think I will put him in A right at the top. He could potentially be S. It's just hard to say. I've never had a teammate that was a Blight that was really, really good and made me actually think he was worthy of being S tier. But when I have played him, I've done pretty good. But I feel like I could just be doing better with Billy, right, compared to Blight because you're insta-downing and things like that, right? Up next is Huntress. I'll put Huntress in A as well. I think I'll put her above Blight. The thing with Huntress is she's super slow still. She has like 0 mobility, but she can deal out health states so quickly, right? She has 10 hatchets. You can down multiple survivors very quickly, punish people going for saves and pickups and things like that. You know, you got your faster reloading, but the main benefit to her, in my opinion, is being able to deal health states cross map and wrap up teammates' chases that are going on too long across the map. I do this all the time. If I notice my teammates struggling pretty hard and they're chasing a survivor out in the open, they can usually provide me an aura read or chase them out in the open, and it will allow me to finish their chase for them and get them moving on to the next chase. So she's very good on her own, and she can win matches by herself. Like I've done it. I opened up an Epic Games version of Dead by Daylight and a Steam game version of Dead by Daylight, and I won 3 1v8s by myself without, you know, a partner. That's on my channel if you guys want to go watch that. So she does have that capability, although not so much anymore now that you get the comeback mechanic right. But she's really great in that regard. But again, she suffers from all the safe loops, all the clutter, all the filler junk that they thrown into all the tiles. She's definitely gone way down since the later iterations of Dead by Daylight. They also nerfed her OCAF. She had an OCAF based kit. They got rid of that too. So yeah. And she's also another killer that really suffers from the fact that you have to hook now. You know, she's a 110 killer. She's slow as hell. And now you have to spend 6 seconds hooking instead of 1.5 caging by stomping them out. So yeah, still a really solid killer though. You know, not too much to complain about, but definitely gone downhill the last couple of iterations. Up next, we got Legion. Legion is really tough to say. They're a very great support teammate. They don't really do too much on their own besides keeping the entire team injured, right? So they still lack all lethality, basically. Like, Legion suffers in 1v4. They're not very good at all. One of the weakest killers in the game. And in 2v8, it's not really any different. You know, they're still one of the weakest killers in 2v8. The strength that they have is the fact that they can put out so much pressure by injuring so many people nonstop. but you really need a killer duo who is good enough to capitalize on all of these injuries, right? So like Huntress and Legion is an absolutely goated combo. Me and my friend Clueless do this all the time. She'll go around the map stabbing everybody, and I'll go around the map, executing everybody and caging them and stuff like that. You really can't afford to let Legion bother hooking, bother wrapping up chases. You really need to exude the pressure yourself and capitalize off of what they can do. Because if they're trying to wrap up chases on their own, it's not going to go very well. You really have to have Legion constantly in frenzy, so that way everybody's constantly mending, so that way you're constantly putting out pressure and slowing down generators, right? You also have the increased speed of the Feral Frenzy, allowing them to harass multiple generators, not as well as Blight or Billy, but the harassment is different in regard that if you run up to 4 survivors on a generator, you can pretty much reliably hit 2 to 3, if not all 4 of them, and have them spend 6 seconds mending, whereas Billy, you might get an insta-down, sure, but then the other 3 survivors are pretty much gone. So, yeah, I will put Legion in C tier. Not to say that they're absolutely awful. They're a great support teammate, but on their own, they really don't. I just feel like they don't have the lethality. I don't know why they made it to where it was 8 hits, then the insta-down. They should have just left it 4 hits and an insta-down. Because why not let them have the 4-hit insta-down? Because Billy insta-downs. So I don't think a 4-hit insta-down Legion would be oppressive in 2v8 at all. It'd actually make them decent, in my opinion. But yeah, so we're gonna leave him at them at C tier, right? Up next, we got Nemesis. Do I put Nemesis D tier? It's hard to say. His biggest benefit is his zombies. His zombies being able to pressure generators and unhooks is nice. They don't move faster. They have bigger detection radiuses. It's nice having them being able to push survivors off generators. Other than that, he's pretty much garbage. He takes forever to get to tier 2 because they nerfed it and make it to where it takes more points to level up, right? It takes forever to get to tier 3. You still have to hit survivors 3 times. There's like 24 vaccines on the map, so you're pretty much never going to have anybody injured with your whips until like a late game. I think they could honestly make it to where he injures no matter what with his whip, and then he'd probably be like B tier. But again, a killer with no mobility, 3 hits to down, no real pressure. Like, being contaminated isn't even really that big of a threat. Base kit Liquor Tongue is nice though. Overall, I would say he's D tier, honestly. He's just not that great. Yeah, he's not that great. His zombies are the best part. You could maybe put him in C tier because of his zombies. But then sometimes your zombies ain't doing shit, so, Up next, we got Nurse. Nurse is hard. The problem with Nurse is I feel like she's overrated in this game mode. She gets 3 blinks when she's near a teammate, but she's got too many fatigues, right? Like, if you run into a situation where there's 4 survivors on a generator as Huntress, you could injure all 4 survivors before they can get away. You could probably down 2 survivors and injure another before they can all get away. If you're playing Nurse and you pop up on 4 survivors and you hit 1, you're in fatigue. Maybe you hit another one, you're in fatigue. Now you have no downs, no real pressure. You got 2 people injured, that's it. Or maybe you could just down 1 and hit them twice, but the others are all scattered. Billy, you run up on 4 survivors, you insta-down 1, you insta-down another. Blight, you run up on 4 survivors, kind of the same way. You hit the survivor and you go into your little fatigue, but you're also 115, whereas Nurse is not 115, she's 86. So I don't think she's that good. She's great in 1v1 situations, but overall, her map pressure isn't great. I think her mobility is actually horrible because the maps are so big now. Her blinks just aren't enough. They don't go far enough. She takes forever to cross the map, and she's just not that great in my opinion. I think she's very overrated. I'd put her in B tier. Up next, we got Slinger. Slinger, I would put below Nemesis. I mean, there's not really too much to say about him. He's pretty much the exact same as 1v4, you know what I mean? 110, all that stuff. He moves a little bit faster, reels a little bit faster, reloads a little bit faster, but his main thing is he's more along the lines of a support partner, I think, and he's best when used with doubling up. Unfortunately, I don't think doubling up is a very smart move at all. I think it'll cost you a lot of your games. It's best to have one killer on one side of the map, the other killer on the other, and be bouncing hooks back and forth between each other. And only coming together to double up on a survivor who's really good and you need to get out of the game, or if you run into a spot where there's like 4 survivors in one area, right? Other than that, you know, he's like an M1 killer. He shoots, he reels him in, he hits him, and then he has to reload, shoot, reel him in, and hit him. So he's not dealing out multiple damage states very rapidly. You know, he's kind of like a 1v1er like Nurse, and he's just not that good in my opinion. He's one of the worst killers in 2v8, honestly. Up next, we got Spirit. Where would I put Spirit? I would put her, I think I'll put her in A below Huntress, right? You know, it's hard to say, really. I think I value damaging in hooking multiple survivors very rapidly and generating pressure, and that way being able to slug better than patrolling generators, right? Billy can do both. He can instantly down a survivor and patrol generators very quickly, right? But Spirit, her cooldown's just too long. Her cooldown on her phase shift, if you use all of her power gauge, it takes forever to get it back. Like, a lot of people put her in S tier till this to this day when it comes to 1v4. I don't think she's S tier anymore. After she got nerfed in those couple patches that came out nerfing her, like, what was it? It's probably been about a year now since she got nerfed. Some of her add-ons have been nerfed too. I just don't think she's that good anymore. She's still solid, but she's not great. You know, you use your power gauge all the way up, you hit a survivor, and then you're a 110 killer for like 30 minutes until you get your power gauge back, you know. At least with Blight, so I'll put Blight above her. At least with Blight, you're 115. You know, a tiny little tangent aside, no killer should be 110 without a movement speed ability. So Huntress and Slinger should be 115. They made Trickster 115. That's good. You can make Hag 115 even though she's got a teleport. And Spirit, I don't know. I don't even know if 115 Spirit would really be that problematic, honestly. At least in 2v8, it really wouldn't, in my opinion. But yeah, so we'll put her there. But yeah. She's a good 1v1 or 2. That's kind of her whole thing. And she's better than Blight in a 1v1 regard, I think, because it's like there's damn near no counterplay. Like, you can hear where she's going, but even then, like, sometimes it's like it's really hard to guess where she's at. You know, it's kind of like a 50-50 at a palette. So yeah. Up next is Trapper. We'll put Trapper above Deathslinger. Do we put him right there? I think we do, yeah. So we put Trapper above Deathslinger because Trapper can have traps that are doing multiple things at once, right? Trapper is, he's not a 1v1 killer like, you know, Slinger and Nurse and Blight and stuff like that. He's more of like a, or Spirit, I guess. He's more of like a map control killer. He's the only map control killer in this game, I really feel like. I mean, I guess you could say Billy is a map control killer too, because he exerts so much pressure across the map. But I'm meaning, like, with Trapper, survivors have to constantly watch where they step, which is cool. You could trap multiple survivors at a time, but then you're in a situation where you could have survivors following you around, disarming your traps all the time. You know, it's decent support. You trap a survivor, and then I'm playing Huntress, and I cross-map a trap survivor. Although it's really hard because you get that big-ass loud noise notification, you know, when he sets his traps. I believe the other killers next to him still get speed boost. I don't know if that's a thing or not anymore. Maybe not. But, yeah, he's still not that great. You know, he's Trapper. He gets his little sprint burst whenever he sets a trap, which is nice. But other than that, he's very mediocre. No map pressure, really. Shuts down tiles. Decent, I guess. But other than that, kind of meh. Up next, we'll do Wesker. Where do we put Wesker at? This one's kind of tough. Wesker's kind of interesting because I think he's got his dashes. He's got 3 dashes this time. You can use them for mobility. He gets his bounds back pretty quickly. He can hit multiple survivors at once with his power. You know, you can throw a survivor into another survivor, put him into deep wound and injure him, albeit rare, less rare in 2v8, you know. He's got his Ouroboros virus, which is like passive slowdown, which is way more of a threat than Nemesis's contamination because it actually hinders you and makes you exposed and insta-downable to his virulent bound. You know,
I've lost it
decent
because I
map
was watching
control,
the
decent
Nemesis
pressure, 115 killer.
because I'm stupid.
Um,
Hello.
I would put him probably well, would I put him?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think I put Blight above him. No, no, no. I'll put him above Blight because of his Ouroboros virus.
I don't know what that
You
is,
know, you're gonna be hitting a lot of dashes, and even if you're not injuring people, you're infecting them.
Oh, yeah,
So
I see one.
no, not bad. Just a little bit of slowdown. There's only 2
Anthony on
killers in the
either
game with slowdown
side.
in 2v8, and that's Wesker and Nemesis, and Wesker's is way better. I mean, Nemesis does have the zombies, which could be slowdown, I guess, but yeah, I think Nemesis needs probably 4 zombies, honestly, in 2v8,
I
and then you could
am
just put 2 of
going
them,
absolutely insane.
do like 2 groups of
Why
2
is
or
he so
something like that.
fast?
I don't know. Yeah. And then we got Wraith. I believe Wraith is S tier in this game mode as well. You're invisible. You're fast as hell. You can keck gens. Yeah, you can patrol gens super quickly. You can kick them while invisible. Obviously, super fast. You get a big ass post uncloak speed boost with crazy lunges. You know, you can provide hella aura reading. You can sneak up on survivors and catch them off guard, grab them off generators and things like that. Providing a lot of aura reads, if I didn't say that already. And yeah, he's like a consistent map pressure, right? Like Billy has to do his weird curving. He can hit obstacles and objects and things like that. Map hitboxes can be absolutely terrible, getting hit on a tree, stuff like that. You know, Blight has to ricochet off things. Ever since they changed his hitbox, I think he's been honestly horrible to play because he can't get through any doorways at all, you know? So that's kind of a nightmare. RPD maps hurt both Blight and Billy really badly, things like that. Blight or Wraith is a consistent speed, full control. You do slow down when you uncloak, but your uncloak is faster in 2v8. You know, your lunge is faster in 2v8. It's bigger, and you can kick generators super fast, pallets super fast. And I think he's one of the highest map control killers in 2v8, honestly. Like map pressure killers. It's hard to say. I definitely like Billy better because Billy has his insta downs. But yeah, really good Wraith. You can really tell that they're putting in the work on your team. And yeah. All right, well, that does it. That was the 2v8 killer tier list. This one was a lot quicker than the actual killer tier list. I don't know when I'll do the actual killer tier list. That's going to be like, well, that's going to be a process. But yeah, I just had a lot. I've had a lot going on the past couple months. So hopefully I can get back on a consistent schedule now. But yeah, that does it for this one. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.